One reason I particularly like coming to the stand is that, at least for right now, it shows a really great comparison between a prescribed burn area and an area that hasn't been burned in a while. So here I'm standing on the other side of our fire break road. So the Discovery Center is right there. I just walked across this segment. So we see that this has just a lot of the grasses on the ground, not a lot of stuff that's higher than the ground, and then the big pine trees that are mature. But then we look on the other side and there's a very big difference. We see tons of stuff that is about my height. They're a little shorter. We also see a lot of pine needles on the ground. So all of this is material that will be burned away whenever we come back to do the prescribed burning here. And so you can see that over time there's a lot of buildup of materials that can burn. So if we don't go through and burn these systems like there should be and have been in the past naturally, then all of this will build up and could become a problem and become a much larger and out of control fire than what it would be if we regularly burn it like we do. We've come to one of our banded trees. Now, these bands are significant for locating trees that have cavities of the red-cockaded woodpecker. So RCWs, which is what we call them for short, are really special and specific to these kind of native longleaf pine stands that have really old mature trees. It is an endangered species, and so we in order to help protect them, we look for trees that have nest cavities in them and mark them. So a single band means that there's a cavity that's either been started or it has been used in the past and has been abandoned. So we also see tags that indicate what number of trees. So this one is 519, so that we can come back and find it later and keep recordings of its activity. Alright, this is pretty exciting. So we see this one banded tree, so we think, okay, either it's been lived in the past or it's just a beginner hole. And so I find nest cavity up here, and then I see some glinting in the sun. The cavity is currently being lived in or being modified. It is covered in this resin because it is very sticky and it is a good protective measurement for their nest cavity. So this one may in fact be a two-banded instead of one-banded. We're in the process right now of going through the various forests and determining which ones are being active this year. So that's really exciting. Definitely some fresh resin there. It's so great. I haven't been able to get any RCWs on camera, unfortunately, but thankfully other people have. So here is what RCWs look like. Because this is the breeding season of the RCWs, I'm not going to make a whole lot of noise, and I'm going to try to just be very aware of my presence of this two-banded tree. So the two-banded tree indicates that a bird is living in it, and so it's important that we not disturb them when they're breeding, because we want to increase their regeneration. We don't want to scare them away from any nests that they might be preparing, any young that they might be feeding, which should not be happening quite yet, but nevertheless, it's good to be aware of our impact upon this type of creature. Alright, from here you can clearly see the cavity of the RCW. So only a single RCW lives in a cavity. This is the dried resin from the pine that the RCW has made over and around its cavity as a protective measure against, for example, snakes and other predators that could potentially come in and invade its nest. I think it's really special that we have these two adjacent stands that we can easily take people to, and in particular school groups, because RCWs tend to really not like being around people and build their nest cavities away from human activity. So this is one spot on the property where we can actually go up in person to a nest cavity and people can have the ability to experience this really neat part of nature firsthand.